Hello and good morning everybody, and welcome to today's video of DIY investing. Today I wanted to talk about something that kind of involves a plan. What should your primary focus be when it comes to trading or investing inside of cryptocurrency? Now, me personally, my biggest goal is always to grow my Bitcoin stack. I'm not necessarily worried about my dollar amount as much because overall I'm thinking very big picture. And what I see big picture is I'm expecting all of these fiat currencies to slowly burn out and die along with that old way of thinking. I do strongly expect Bitcoin to be that driver of the market, of the cryptos. I'm not expecting any other cryptocurrency to overtake Bitcoin. I find that that's just going to be unlikely and unreasonable because Bitcoin is very simple in the way it is. It's a store of value. It can be used to transact. For the first time ever, we now have a store of value that also works similarly to a currency. Keep in mind, Bitcoin's not super fast, and if it were to be adopted as a national currency right now, I think we would have a very strong issue with the scaling debate. However, once the Lightning Network gets implemented, if and when that gets implemented, that should really boost the scalability of Bitcoin. A lot of these altcoins, their selling point is faster speeds than Bitcoin. They're more scalable, this and that. But the thing is, as soon as the Lightning Network comes out, that selling point then becomes obsolete. So something that you should develop early on is, what is my primary focus when it comes to trading or investing in cryptocurrencies? Now, like I stated at the first, my primary focus is always going to be grow my Bitcoin amount. Now, the reason why I choose this is because big picture, I expect Bitcoin to be the national reserve, maybe even a global reserve currency in the way it functions. I expect Bitcoin to behave similarly to gold, and what we've done with gold throughout the entire history of mankind, for the most part, has been a reserve currency. Now, a lot of national currencies, they'll go through their cycles, and then they'll go through their rallies, and then they'll crash, and then they'll die, and then another one will spawn in its place. And it's this cycle that's repeated throughout history, and the cryptocurrency market's going to be no different. And what we're starting to see is a transition from conventional fiat markets down towards these cryptocurrencies. And Bitcoin, the reason why we've had this massive rally throughout it, going from 5 cents all the way up to 20K in the last rally, that's just insane. And that shows that there is an incredible demand behind this currency right now. And that's because fiat currencies failed a lot of people. I mean, look at the dollar, for example. It's not backed by anything. Back in the 60s, we used to be backed by gold, to where the dollar actually held some sort of intrinsic value. But over the last 50 to 60 years, we've slowly grown out of that, and now it's come to the point where everything is just backed by debt, currencies are collapsing, economies are failing, and we're really just looking towards a new way out of all of this mess that we've put ourselves in. Keep in mind, this is something that's repeated throughout history. We always have a certain way of thinking or a certain idea that we follow, and we follow it and follow it and follow it until we literally just walk off a cliff, and then it crashes. And then while we're walking off this cliff, we hurry and design something else that's going to save the day. Bitcoin was created in 2008. Now, think back to what happened in 2008. We had the world financial crisis in America where banks were loaning out too much, and we had these massive credit bubbles, and then eventually that all came tumbling down, and we had a massive collapse, and lots of people were affected by this. Now, this bubble has continued to grow, but Bitcoin was created right after that financial collapse, or the financial crisis in 2008, and so we're finally moving out of this old way of thinking. Keep in mind, this can't persist forever. Fiat can't always continue to be the strong suit, especially when we're starting to see these new cryptocurrencies come out. Everybody knows we're moving towards a more digital age, and these are far more beneficial to society, and not only that, but to the entire world as a whole. Now, this is the reason, and the main reason why I'm solely focused on building my Bitcoin amount is because I do strongly believe in Bitcoin's fundamentals long term, and I do see it being the reserve currency of either countries or the world. I'm not exactly sure what way we're moving into, but it's looking more and more likely that we're moving towards a global reserve for the first time in the world history. And so this is my biggest reason for accumulating Bitcoin. I'm not worried about my dollar amount because I honestly see a collapse coming in fiat currencies and the dollar specifically. Pretty soon it'll come to the point where, but we're not going to look to tether because the dollar won't even exist at some point down the future. So I could care less about my dollar amount. I'm thinking very big picture. And so with all of these altcoin trades that I take, I'm always looking to increase my Bitcoin amount. And so Bitcoin is really my reserve currency. It's what I use. I don't only use Bitcoin. Keep in mind, when I'm trading, I will use Tether. However, for the most part, I'm looking to accumulate my Bitcoin stack. And so even though Bitcoin's going through its massive price swings, I don't necessarily care about that because I see the big picture. Say I get 2 Bitcoin and that's what I've built my account up to. And at 20K, that would have been worth quite a bit. It would have been worth about $38,000. However, if I would have taken it to Tether or something, I could have kept that 40,000. But for me personally, I feel more strongly about the fundamentals behind Bitcoin, so I'm more focused on growing that Bitcoin stack. Now, even though I could have 2 Bitcoin at the very top, if I keep holding that 2 Bitcoin, it'll slowly go down into where I won't have nearly the same amount of money. Right now, I'd have about little over $12,000, $13,000 compared to at the peak I would have had $40,000. So this is something that you have to come into and take into consideration. It kind of goes along with the strategy of hodling, and it does work that same way. In the big picture, I'm hodling Bitcoin. I don't care about the dollar amount because I'm thinking big picture. Big picture, I expect Bitcoins to be worth millions of dollars. And so for right now, the more Bitcoin that I can accumulate and grow and grow and grow, the better I'm going to be off long term. There's a couple reasons for me doing this. Number one, I do see the long term picture for Bitcoin, and I do see it being this great fundamental in society, and so that's why I do want to accumulate it for long term. But another reason is I don't necessarily trust Tether and I don't trust the dollar. It's a ticking time bomb when either of those two things are going to collapse, and once that does happen, it's going to send ripples throughout the entire world. I would rather be holding Bitcoin or somewhat of a store of value rather than holding this dollar that could potentially collapse at any second. So for me personally, short-term thinking is, yeah, I'll lose out on a few gains as far as dollar value goes, but big picture, I'm going to be far better off just holding Bitcoin and going about that method. Not only that, but a third reason why is because if I were to sell and cash into my bank, because I would not be willing to cash in a substantial amount of my portfolio back into Tether because, once again, I do not trust it. There's always some shady things going on with that, and I'm not willing to put all of my money into that and just kind of risk that going forward. But another reason being, if I cash into my bank and I hold my dollar amount in my bank account, I'm gonna have to claim more taxes on that on the long term. So overall, it's just better for me to kind of transfer my Bitcoin into my Trezor wallet and just kind of go from there. Accumulate my Bitcoin and just slowly grow it and grow it. I mean, I'll use Tether on the side when I'm doing day trading and stuff like that. But for the most part, I am not worried about the longevity of Bitcoin compared to the dollar, where I don't find it lasting any more than 2-3 years at the most. I expect the dollar to collapse, and Tether's backed by dollar, it's going to do the exact same thing. So I'm just really not trusting that. It's not something I'm willing to put my money into. And so these are really the reasons why I'm so bullish on Bitcoin long term. It's a store of value that also acts as a currency. Not only that, but the dollar and other fiat currencies all around the world are slowly starting to die out. And so for me to put all of my money that I've worked so hard to accumulate and throw that back into something that could just collapse at any time, that's just a huge risk that I'm not willing to take long term. So this is what I had for you guys. Basically, the point of this video was develop a trading plan, whether it's for day trading, week trading, midterm to long term investing. You always have to have a plan. The plan goes more than just taking an entry, taking an exit, and where you're timing your stop loss. It's far bigger than that. You got to know how you're going to trade the market, what you're looking to accumulate, when you're looking to sell, when you're looking to buy. There's so many things that go into consideration that a lot of people just overlook. So I wanted to make this video to kind of clarify what I do, what my biggest goals are as far as cryptocurrencies, and just to kind of give you guys the message that this is something you should be doing too. Whether you follow my plan or not, that's totally up to your own doing. I don't care. always remember to develop your plan to where it fits your needs best. If you think that the dollar is going to last another 10 years, maybe this strategy isn't right for you. Or maybe if you do expect the dollar or other fiat currencies to fail, depending on which country you're in, maybe you're going to follow a similar strategy. So this is what I had for you guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did enjoy this video, always remember to leave a like, comment, and subscribe to my channel for more updates in the future. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out.